Welcome to Norfolk Recreation Committee meeting, September the 28th. It's about 7:07 for our start. We've received the August minutes, and I sent those out earlier, and I hope we've had a chance to review them.
These are the June ones?
Okay.
Yeah.
So the August minutes that went out, there were a couple of changes, just mostly as far as format goes. Under 2, it says standalone pole that would use LED lights, and then there's a bullet underneath, Pacheco Cook Electrical Lighting and Installation cost $1440. The Q-Star technology is not under that. That should actually be off to the side, which would be a 3. So it's just it's really just the format of it.
Okay.
And then the same with Ann spoke about being a member of the NP, the National Park and Rec Association, so that would be out to the side either. It's really a format more than it is information.
Okay.
I move to approve.
I'll second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. If we have to be unanimous tonight, don't we?
Yes, we do. So Eliza, please don't, no, I'm kidding. So August 24th meeting minutes have been accepted. Now the June meeting minutes, we have copies of those?
I just have the one copy.
One copy?
How many
Okay.
copies?
At some point.
Okay.
Not tonight. We can accept those next
You
time.
wanna leave them?
So they'll be on the next meeting's agenda. That's fine.
All right, vouchers are in process. We're signing those. Next item for the agenda is the CPC project updates. Tom Terpstra unfortunately is not here this evening, so we'll catch up with him next time unless, Ian, you have anything that you want to provide? Because he didn't email me or anything.
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Next item, number 4, secretary clerk. Kathy, thanks again for helping us out being the secretary of this committee. Really appreciate it. In order for us to have minutes that are approved and or signed, then accepted and pushed to the town clerk for posting on their website and retrieval, I guess, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that what we're doing now? So the actual minutes actually need to be signed by a clerk of this commission.
Mhm.
So typically, secretary would have served that same role, Mrs. Carrero. Would you like to take on the role of clerk?
Sure.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that Liza Carrero be clerk for the Recreation Commission of Norfolk.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do I aye? Aye myself? Aye.
I think you can hide that. Okay, so that you'll sign.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So you'll sign the minutes
Right.
once they're accepted, so they go to the town clerk,
So your first
signed by you.
Correct.
order of duty is August 24th minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll just do it later.
Next item on the agenda, security cameras, lights, Pond Street, and Freeman Kennedy update. We'll go with the security cameras, lights first. I know that
Okay.
there was a
Yep.
demo earlier.
So this afternoon, around 4 o'clock, myself and Chuck Stone were part of a go-to-meeting to go over the Q-Star Technologies flash cam. I'm going to follow up. I actually have sent Chuck an email already asking him what he thought of it, but it does seem to meet all the needs of what we're looking for. It's solar. It takes pictures. It really does everything that we're looking for. It's also a deterrent. The minimum cost is $69.95 for the camera alone. There's a starter kit that provides the camera. It also provides 2 dummy models. So once you have one set up and it's taking pictures, people get used to it. You can actually move the real one somewhere else and put up the dummy one.
Keep it a secret.
Yep, as we've just announced on TV. Yep, we will. So that, and it also includes 7 mounting pieces of hardware. It does need to be on a pole. One of the possibilities I was going to look at, though I don't think it's high enough, is this pole on the end of the soccer field at Pond Street. It does have about a 120-degree angle. It takes photos that then you can then go in and enhance them and look up close, and it will read license plates as far away. In writing, it says 250 feet. They have said 300 feet away, you can read a license plate. And with a 120-degree angle, if we put a pole up by the baseball field, and they'll actually, when we go to do this, they'll actually help pick a spot. Or if the pole at the soccer field is high enough, that may be enough that we can get everything. I'm a little concerned about the soccer field, I feel like being lower. It depends out, again, the height of the pole. So, and then we also have to get a price of getting a pole put in, which I asked and called one company about 3 times to get that price. So I'm still working on getting that price. But still, for a solar system that we're not paying electricity and such, it seems like the most promising of all the alternatives. And it's the camera alone is far better than any security system we've looked at by far, whether anything. I have asked to, they have them installed in places like Yankee Stadium, New York City, City of Providence. I've talked to a couple of smaller towns in Massachusetts that have them. So the good news is, since they've had them, they haven't had to view the film or view the pictures because there's a deterrent. And it's a voice-activated deterrent. It's light flashes. And as he said, as soon as the light flashes, it's human nature to turn around to see where it came from, and that's when they get the best picture. And he showed us the pictures, and they're very clear, pitch black, dark pictures. They lights lit up, and you can see who's there. I did talk to the person, Ron, and I said, I'd love to speak to someone who actually uses them, views the video, and really is hands-on. And he said the best recommendation is a person from Baltimore, from the DPW uses them all the time because of illegal dumping. They actually they pay for themselves over and over again because they collect so many fines with the illegal dumping that they catch people with.
Okay.
So he's going to get me that information tomorrow. So far it's looking promising. I am hoping to follow up with Chuck and find out what he thinks about them as well.
Okay.
There's even a remote you can have, not that I'm suggesting this, but you can, even if for another application, if you wanted to have one camera but you wanted to narrow in on another area, you can set up a remote and it'll take pictures like just of a doorway. You want to see who's coming and going, you can just set that up.
Do we have the funding?
We have, and again, Scott Bragdon's out, so when he comes back, I'm going to confirm this with him. As I know, or what I was told before, there's between $3,000 and $5,000, probably closer to $3,000, from MIA, our insurance. So that brings the cost down to about $4,000. And we do have that funding, whether it be some money from a field maintenance account, because that's what we're using it for, a partial amount. We have some money in our gift account, and we do have a small amount in our expense account. We have some money in our revolving account. We could certainly.
This doesn't
Yes.
short us in any other particular
No.
operational area?
No.
Okay.
Especially if no, it doesn't.
Okay. That's all I need to know. Do you need a motion to approve her to pursue this? or-
I'm going to find out more, and then we can probably vote on it at the next meeting. I just want to talk to get the recommendations, and I certainly want to get Chuck's input on it. And, if I was to make a recommendation now, I would recommend the starter kit, the $7,700 version versus the $7,000, because I think being able to move it around, that is important.
Right. So the starter kit would be, just clarify for me, you're saying if we go forward, you're suggesting go with the starter kit?
Right, there's just the unit itself is $69.95,
Okay.
and I think it's $76.95. It's not more than $7,700. It's $76.90 or $76.95. You get that unit. You get 2 dummy units that look like it, you get 7 mounting brackets. So you can put the mounting brackets wherever you like, and then you can move it around.
Right, but then the cost of the pole, you don't know yet, right?
Right, I don't know the cost of the pole, so I'm gonna find that out.
Okay.
I'm gonna find out if it can go on the any pole that we have.
So I guess timing-wise, because we'll meet probably within 4 weeks to
I
give
think I
that
should
approval.
know everything by then.
Because, I mean, we can give you the go-ahead now, if you need it.
Sure. I'm fine with whatever you'd like to do. I'm not gonna, I'm gonna give you the information anyway, so, I mean, whatever I find.
All right. Do you want to make a motion? Or you want me?
Yeah, yes, I will make a motion to approve the purchase of the security cameras, and what was the total amount? 72,
It's I think it's $76.95.
$76.95.
I will second that motion. Any discussion?
Nope.
Don't mean to block you.
Nope, that's good.
All right, all in
Stay back
favor?
here.
Aye.
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 I'll stay back here.
So moved.
Okay, prices here from last
I can
time.
see around you.
That's a good thing.
$45.
And then just, work with Scott and figure out dollars-wise there,
Yeah.
and then the pole and whatever else needs to be put in.
Yeah,
Winter's coming.
yeah.
So we don't want to wait too
I
long.
do
for
know
that.
that DPW was also interested because they're looking at something for the transfer station, so.
And with the illegal dumping, I'm sure that'll help out a little bit. That
Yeah.
happens up there.
Not as much as it used to.
River Road, I think there's a lot.
Okay. Anything else on the security cameras?
No, great work. That's nice research on that.
Thanks.
Field court updates. Irrigation issues at Pond Street, Freeman Kennedy, and the water wheel. I'll kind of give what I know, and then Ann, you can piggyback on or
Okay.
enlighten me on other things. I know that there was conversations with Justin today. So at Pond Street facility is irrigated through a well system with a control unit, and it comes on throughout the night, waters all the fields. All the fields have been in pretty good shape. We've addressed some areas of concern, either that the zones are not working or a particular sprinkler head wasn't working. We've addressed those to either be repaired, replaced, or what have you. And so everything seems to be working up there. Grass looks good. Their DPW is cutting the grass on a weekly basis, and haven't had really any complaints. Gold mouse, obviously, just because of usage, get torn up a little bit. So with the tarps that we've recently purchased, in addition to the tarps that we've had, we'll be able to address those field issues when the fields are closed at the end of mid-November-ish, where we'll put down some additional seed, et cetera. So it starts off.
We'll deep tine aerate and seed, and then put the tarp covers over, so we get an early germination of the seed.
Come
Hopefully in
springtime.
March, and hopefully there won't be snow in March
This time.
This year.
this year.
Dream.
I'm not going to bet on it, though.
I wouldn't either.
So Pond Street's in good shape. Freeman Kennedy, on the other hand, the only irrigation at Freeman Kennedy is on the football field. We do have a water wheel. We've put that water wheel into works this past weekend, starting Friday. There was 3 rounds of the water wheel being in action on Friday, another 3 rounds on Saturday, and 2 more rounds on Saturday to field water field H and get that kind of coming back alive.
That's the big soccer field.
Up at Freeman. Field I, we can water that. I didn't have a chance to water that because there's 2 connections up there. One behind football, which allows the water wheel to operate. That's probably on a 1.5 inch connection. The one that's further down is on a 1 inch connection. Didn't have the 1 inch connection piece of equipment in order to run the water wheel, so I couldn't run it further down. But now that we do have that piece of equipment, we can start expanding some of the water operations. And DPW is going to be watering, basically Monday through Friday to try and get those fields to come back a little bit.
Yeah, I will
They're
add.
going to get some rain the next 2 or 3 days, that's for sure.
Yeah, we heard some. I will say Field H does respond well to water. It's a solid field. I mean, it's almost amazing how green it stays. I don't ever really remember seeing it as dry as it is, but it does respond well to, it does
Catches.
respond well to water. So, and at this point, we need a lot of water. It's just so, it's
Hang in
just
there.
dust.
Looks like 5 days of rain.
Yeah,
5.
Just through the weekend, yeah.
really, I didn't hear that. I'm happy. I am. The fields need it so badly, I don't
Yeah,
care.
we
It can-
all need it.
Yeah, that would be great.
So, Bond Street's all set. Freeman, hopefully will start to come back, especially with the watering. Clearing along the woods line, I didn't have a chance to check that out at Pond Street. I know at Freeman, they did adjust clearing some branches along the wood line where the soccer field is. Go ahead.
They did. I did see the soccer coach there just a few days ago, and there's a branch that's hanging over the field, but it's high, and so it needs a ladder and such, and that's one of their concerns. I said, and when I asked DPW to clear the branches, I had no idea they were talking about a branch that high. So that will need to be addressed at some point.
Okay. Then fertilization, I don't know where we stand with that.
The fertilization, because it's been so dry, we haven't been able to fertilize any field that isn't irrigated. We will do that. We fertilized Pond Street in early August. Might have been mid-August. Mid-August. We fertilized the football field and also one of the small baseball fields over at Freeman Kennedy. We did not fertilize any non-irrigated field because it would have stressed it out too much. When it rains and the fields start to come back, we will then fertilize all fields again. So the football field, the soccer field, all the fields at Pond Street, which are having soccer played on them, they will be fertilized again, which is a good thing. The fields that haven't been fertilized at all will be fertilized for a first time, but there's really just nothing you can do when you don't have water. It would just hurt the fields, it would burn them out.
Not enough motion.
There we go. Hello.
We need to move more.
Oh, okay.
There are motion detectors.
Okay.
So that's where we are.
Wave your
Good.
arms.
DPW availability, I put that in the agenda just to talk about, DPW does a lot of fantastic things. They help us out quite a bit. I know that they're stretched to the limit sometimes, and unfortunately, you can't address a lot of the issues that we need to have addressed when we need to have them addressed. And we like to work with them as much as possible, i.e., we've helped them out in the past with getting some equipment, providing them the tools that they need in order to do their job a little bit better. And I know that, we did a lot of work on the fields, softball, we've done work on the baseball fields in the past. We've done, continuously do the football fields, the soccer fields, fertilization, grass seasons, all that. We've reached out to softball because after doing all that work with softball, the
He's on my shoulder.
Pine Buck, he liked you.
the softball fields seem not to get attention when they need it, i.e. after games and or practices. They would just kind of do their game or practice and then leave. And
Walk away.
the field really needs to kind of be raked whenever it's used, and it just wasn't being. Otherwise, lips can start to reoccur.
We
There's
spent
a lot
about
of- lot of dips
$4,000
that
on a
happen.
small field. And then the maintenance just has to be in place. And the maintenance for DPW as far as raking needs to be in place too.
Right. So we've reached out to softball to ask them to try and get back and try and help us out as well, to help them out by having some volunteers or what have you to rake the fields, to get them back into shape and et cetera. So they said that they would be doing that, and that, Ann had provided them some guidelines as well as, what to do, where to rake, how to rake, when to rake, kind of guidelines for them. We're also going to probably reach out to baseball. I know some of the baseball fields have some grass on the infields, and they're going to be addressed through DPW, through some spray applications. But there again, the raking, and again, DPW only has so much time, so if we can get the baseball programs on par with us to try at least help us out. It's a lot easier if simple maintenance is done than to let it get too far behind.
So baseball was really actually pretty well on track they end at the end of July. So now the grass is growing in, and DPW knows that they're going to spray, and then they have someone starting on the weekends, and hopefully they can work on getting rid of the weeds and putting them in pile rather than turning them over, because that just germinates more seeds. And I will come to softball's defense a little bit. Softball really, when they were building the new school, there were no when there were no recess fields available. Everyone, and it's fine. It was the only field for the kids to play on at recess, but it was the softball field. So there was no one could possibly maintain what they had to maintain. So for at least a couple of years, they were really, every time they'd show up, 600 kids had been, or 400 kids had been on their field that day. So they just really got out of the rhythm of what was needed to be done. So I'm sure they'll we'll figure it out and work together and do that.
Yep. All right, discussion with Gale Associates regarding the master plan?
I spoke to Gale Associates. I've given them all the information that the state gave to me finally this summer. I never had the comprehensive plan. So I got that, and I've sent that to them to determine really three things, but two things. One, first, the 5.5 acres that the state has deeded to us, and all we have to say is what 5.5 acres we need. So they are going to lay out the best use of 5.5 acres there. And I have talked to them, and I said, my hopes is that the Babe Ruth Field, number one, the Babe Ruth Field at Freeman Kennedy will go away. So that would mean adding another Babe Ruth Field to the Pond Street complex. Taking the Babe Ruth Field out of Freeman Kennedy would not only give us another full-size field, a full-size multi-purpose rectangular field, it would also make the softball field that is there safe for play. So it would, the safety issue is, certainly primary. So that would address that. The other thing that would allow us to do is hopefully to possibly move the large softball field diagonally across from where the Babe Ruth Field diamond is now at Freeman Kennedy. There's a small baseball field there now, and if we move that field, that may also give us another full-size field on the other side at Freeman Kennedy. So it's not, and we can ideally we'd move the small baseball field and the Babe Ruth Field to Pond Street. So we'd be taking two baseball fields and putting them at Pond Street, which is great. They'd be new and in good condition, and the Babe Ruth Field at Freeman Kennedy is short. The mound it's not even fixable. Even 5 years ago, I got a quote to fix it, and the person who's very much considered an expert is like, it's not fixable. You need a new field. It costs just as much to fix it because of the lips and the dips and such. So not only would we have two safe fields to the correct size at Pond Street, we would gain two other full-size multi-purpose fields at Freeman Kennedy and have a safe playing area for the softball. So there's a lot in addition to just moving those two fields that we would gain at Pond Street. So they are going to be getting back to me in 2 weeks. I spoke to them last week. They asked for 2 weeks to review all the plans and all the wetlands and the delineations and such, and to come back with their ideas.
Is there a time frame for this?
As to being built,
Well, the potential time frame.
I think very optimistically, it would be a couple of years down the road. I mean, just to do all the engineering and the filing and the conservation issues, just to address all of that, it would be, optimistically, it would be 2 years away.
Wouldn't it make sense that if that does come to fruition, which kind of sounds like it will, I'm not a field engineer expert, but I'm sure somebody is, wouldn't it make sense to take a look at the rather than just sort of arbitrarily thinking about how we can shift things around, to take a look at that entire complex.
Oh, we have actually. We did,
Okay.
yes. So, absolutely, it makes sense to do that, but to both complexes. So we had actually done a master plan, but at the time, we didn't know we were getting 5.5 acres or
Yeah.
that there would be other land. We've looked.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, wouldn't
Yeah.
it make sense to maybe revisit that master plan and take a look at it collectively as to how to shift those fields around rather than looking at it sort of at a spotted basis?
And actually, the suggestions I had pointed out were suggestions from that master plan.
Okay.
So it was looking at everything. Now, there's the next phase of this is that there's potentially more than 5.5 acres at Pond Street that we could use. Not necessarily another 20 acres, but there might be another 5 acres or another 7 acres. So I've asked Gale Associates to also assess what other available land is there, because the movement, if we did, for instance, move those 2 fields, it would give us some more rectangular space, but we also need more baseball space, and we lost a baseball field. So we're really not replacing nor do we have the amount of field space that we're being asked to provide by the organizations in Norfolk. So we still need more space.
What about moving the major league field? I know it's an emotional issue.
Well, we actually have that major league field. We have that. We have as far as I know, I don't know that it's not, because we have a legal Little League field at Pond Street. It's fenced in, and it meets that criteria. I don't know what else we could do with that space as far as size
Well,
goes.
for example, it would make a great softball field. I mean, the balls now are going over the fence, they're hitting the school. It's a short field. Just a thought that maybe that field would be better served for a younger age, or softball where the ball doesn't travel as far as a hard ball does, or something like that. It's a tough spot with the school having been situated where it is. It's a tough spot for that field. And I know all the history and the emotions, and
Yeah,
my kids all grew up playing
Yep.
there and all that, but
Yep, I think you're right.
longer term, it's just something maybe to think about. And my questions may be you guys are probably way ahead of me in terms of the planning and the master plan and the strategic components of this, so I apologize if I'm
Oh, that's all right.
a little behind.
I mean, I think that we're a little bit further ahead now with where we were on the master plan, because we didn't know what land we could build out on. At the time, the airport property was, still in the mix, and,
It's
things.
been in and out of the mix forever.
Right, so, but now it's permanently out, so we had, and again, we didn't know what we had, so I think that it could never hurt to
Is there
revisit. and
is there
ask
in the
what-
master plan, I'm sure there is, a sort of a theoretical build-out of what the recreational needs would be
Yep,
for
they're
fields?
Yep.
And when we get the 5.5 acres, how short are we from that potential build-out?
Yeah, I mean, there is,
I mean, the reason I'm asking is
the
we've
numbers are all
got,
done. I don't know that it specifically addresses that 5.5 acres, but.
but if you throw the
numbers are there.
5.5 in,
Yep.
and we know what the build-out need is, whatever that is, there's a differential. There are a number of projects that are sort of on the horizon that we're going to have to deal with, Southwood, for example, being one, and there are at least 12 to 15 acres on the Southwood property that potentially could be negotiated as fields opportunities. And it's just as I think it helps. Sometimes sometimes boards tend to work in a vacuum,
Yep,
just out of necessity more than anything else. If different boards, whether it be conservation, I mean, I look at properties like the Weber property, which hasn't been touched. We've owned it for darn near 8 to
Yeah,
10
that-
years and
it's not a
hasn't been
surprise,
touched.
though.
Well, no, that's not practical.
Yeah.
I know, it's 22 acres, but
Yeah,
it's not
it's not,
practical.
right.
A lot of ledge there.
Yep.
But as we kind of get these opportunities, if we know of what that need is, we need 5 acres, we need 4 fields, we need 3 fields, whatever it is, we might be able to kind of negotiate that into the issues.
Okay, I think I know I had talked to Jack about the Southwood property at one point, but I think knowing that, now that we have more concrete numbers, that probably will help us.
We need 2 turf fields with lights.
There you go.
Does that help? That would help, yeah. We can ask.
That was the first recommendation, by the way, from when they.
You gotta have the
when-
lights, right?
Well,
The
Yeah.
the neighbors will never go for the lights.
One at KP is nice.
Yeah.
It does,
Yeah,
does,
Those days
yeah,
plug in.
what a difference.
yeah,
Yeah,
But
looks
lights-
great.
And the kids like it too.
yeah. But the lights are so different than they were even 5 years
There-
ago,
there-
let alone
there's-
10 years
Where
ago.
this open space is on Southwood, there's a whole neighborhood that backs up to that.
But it's just the display of the lights, though, is so limited compared to what it used to be.
Yeah, I think that,
So,
I think we'll have enough issues with that area without making more.
we'll put the fields in with the light stands, but not the lights, and then we'll figure out the lights later on.
That's kind of what I thought. I mean, I'd
Yeah.
take the fields even if I couldn't get the lights. Yeah.
When we did the master plan, Gale Associates, the first thing they said is, you really need a turf field to cover all your
Yeah,
uses.
I mean, I know you've probably seen that complex down in Harwich.
No, I haven't.
Oh, it was phenomenal complex. Huge amount, I mean, they have a ton of space, they have a ton of space, but they've really maximized the use of that
Yeah.
on both sides of the street. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
complex. They can run like 20 games at one time.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's really, when you have the space, it's amazing what you
Yeah.
can do. That's
Well, when you got
probably,
land,
that is by
yeah.
far the biggest obstacle. Even, King Philip High School, there's very little space.
They don't have any space either.
You know, there's,
yeah.
it's very little space. So,
Okay. Moving on the agenda, fall programming updates. Anything to report?
No, the fall programming has been going very, very well. There was one program that we canceled because we didn't have enough interest, but it was a program that never got a lot of interest anyway, but it served a purpose for those people that needed it. We've made the switch at Freeman Kennedy from one room to another, the SAC room, so we're in the NCTV room. We share it with SAC, and that seems to be going well. We're still running out of, some room. We had started the Global Child Program last year, and we need a couple of classrooms or a couple of rooms after school at the HL Day School, but we're already using the library, and between SAC using the gym and the SAC uses the music room every day after school, we don't have the space to continue it. Although I have asked, I've said, I've sent an email just today actually saying, is there something I don't know about? Because, in the past, we have used classrooms once in a while. And just explain to Mrs. Balfour what, the predicament that we're in, and hopefully we can come up with a solution. The kids that did and the families that did the Global Child Program certainly seem to like it. So we'd like to continue it, and we'll continue it at Freeman Kennedy as well.
If enrollment goes up, is this going to pinch you in space?
Not at the Freeman Kennedy, and we don't use classrooms at HL Day School for the most part. Very, maybe in the summer, but not during the school year. Last year, we used one of the math curriculum rooms for Global Child, but it wasn't a classroom. So the fact that there's an increased enrollment in SAC and the after-school program, that's limited our use more than anything, because they're using they have a need for another room, and they're using the music room every day after school when we used to use that after school. So that takes one room out of the mix.
Okay.
Okay. Winter programming, I just wanted to check in, see where we are, if we've got anything new on the horizon, or...
So it's a little premature, but the Santa Parade is all set. The winter programming will be out.
Don't say that.
It is. It's all
a
set to
terrifying
go. First weekend in December, the room's reserved. Our brochure usually comes out the week before that, week of Thanksgiving, right around that time. It actually gets in the mail right in pretty much the 1st of December. So probably will have a couple of new things, but again, they're still just in the works. So we ran one of the first of our two free programs that we run. We try to run programs that serve the community at no cost, and we run them over at the library. So we ran a state basics the other night. It was terrific. I actually went, see how it went, and I thought Attorney Amy Antonellis did it for us, and I thought she was terrific. She answered some very specific questions as well as gave general information. So that was very good. And the next one is in October about toxic and toxic personal care products. What's toxic and what's not.
Okay.
It's very interesting if you start to read about it.
Attend that.
It's a little. I have to tell you, when there's 1,300.
You might be right.
There are
I don't want to.
1,300 plus products that are banned in the European nation, and in this country, there are 11.
Yeah, I just heard that statistic as well.
It's really actually very
An
alarming.
example.
So, a certain chemical, any kind of chemical that you can't use.
A product. I mean,
A chemical in a product.
but is there a product that you can
All of them.
Shampoos, probably.
Shampoos or sunscreens. Sunscreens are not good. And the worst sunscreens, I actually read an article and researched it a little bit because we provide sunscreen for our outdoor programs if, we don't, as a backup. And the two worst to use are Neutrogena and Banana Boat. Wasn't that a surprise?
That'll clean out my medicine cabinet.
I mean, it's not that they're doing anything that they're not allowed to do. It's that they're allowed to do it.
And these chemicals are toxic.
Yes, and some known carcinogens. Yep.
Terrific.
It's really, when you start, it's just amazing
So
when you
it's
start.
that or melanoma, I guess. You got a toss up here.
Yeah, well, and I think what was the statistic? 90% of cancer is environmental, and including the products that you put on your body.
I think women also have a high rate for it too, was part of what I had heard, because of all our beautifying.
Yeah. But it's even amazing, and I'm going to actually read more about this, but talc, and I don't want to misspeak because I'm going to research this more. As I understand it, is actually a derivative of asbestos.
What is?
What is?
Talc.
Oh, yeah.
So talc, baby powder, the talcum powder, I mean, it says right on it, not recommended for children.
Right.
Baby powder. is
Baby
not
powder.
recommended
Baby
for children.
powder.
Baby powder is not recommended for children.
There you go.
Okay.
Now there is. It used to not say that, but
Really?
yeah, it's very. I feel like I start reading all the information, and I feel like I've been living in a vacuum. Like, how do I not know these things?
Maybe we're better off not knowing it. I don't know. We'll find out that everything is bad for us.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to the next subject. On the agenda, school space update for recreation. I know you kind of hinted this just a couple of seconds ago.
I did. So the good news is we are able to use the closet, that is also was a part of the old NCTV room. We still are working to sort that closet out, though. So the school needs space for the voting booths. So right now, Recreation has a closet off the gym, which seemed like the very logical place for Recreation to have a closet. Most of that closet, however, is used for articles in the preschool programs, which are in the NCTV room. And sometimes we don't have access to the gym during the school day. So our teachers will get there and they can't get to our supplies for whatever. They could be having a picture day, or they could be having a concert, or there could be something going on, and we can't get to the supplies. So originally they were thinking about using that closet off the NCTV room for the voting booths, which they needed. But I talked to Rocco and I said, well, why don't we do some measuring, and what about if Recreation gives up the closet off the gym, we move the shelves out of there and put those in the closet that are off our room. Would you have enough space for the voting material, what you need for the voting booths? And I don't know if it's everything, but in that closet, and they do think that will work. I have said I need a slot about so wide that I can fit 2 futsal nets in. Other than that, we can figure it out. So it looks like that's going to work. Right now, there's a desk in the closet that we're supposed to be working with, and so we're in the process. We may still need a new large storage unit outside.
Okay.
We have an old NCTV left us one, but it's a small one. We're using it, but we may still need that one closet. We put in shelves in the lockers that have helped tremendously. So we're just trying to work with what we have and stay neat and organized.
Okay.
So it's in process.
All right.
process.
I know that we've discussed the storage unit in the past. Do you know if you're going to need that? You know,
I want to
100%
wait
sure?
until,
Okay.
right now, there was a desk that they didn't have anything, they didn't know where to put it, so they put it in that closet. So we have stuff on top of it. So when that comes out, we put the shelves in, then I'll have a much better idea. And where the voting booths are up in one of the classrooms, way far away from the gym, so I certainly can understand why they want space for the voting booths. They're going to put the desk in the classroom, which makes all the sense in the world, and move the voting booth. So it's just
Okay.
moving things around.
All right, next item is discussion regarding enforceability of the park regulations.
So as you all probably know, we have a new town council, and I wanted to take the opportunity to speak with the town council about enforcing the rules of the parks. So there are a couple of bylaws that surround park activity. There's a sign bylaw, there's a bylaw that says no golfing, and a few other things, but there isn't a bylaw that addresses the park rules and regulations, and I wanted to find out how to go about doing that, and certainly and having a there's an effect, and that's done through the bylaw process. So what needs to be done is our rules and regulations need to be documented. We have signs everywhere. It's pretty well thought out already and done, need to be documented, and then a bylaw needs to be written stating that rules and regulations put in place by the Recreation Commission are enforceable, and how they're enforceable. So one of the things that will be coming up is if they need to be ticketable, if they're a ticketable item, we need to say it's ticketable and this is the fine. And then we, of course, and I've talked to Chuck about this briefly, and so the police can say, they're like, it's ticketable, it's not ticketable, it's maybe and even the field usage, what happens if they, there's nothing that really, besides us saying don't do it, there's nothing that says it's a law of the town. And it may just be simply that they lose the permit, but it's a documented item in the bylaws. Not everything has to be ticketable, nor should it be ticketable. But that's the process, and I just wanted to let you know about that. I spoke to the town council about it. I'm pretty clear about what needs to be done, so we just need to do some documentation over the next few months and write a bylaw.
Okay.
Bring it forward in the spring
Yep.
meeting?
Yep.
Okay. I'm sure that Murphy, Hess, and Lehane have got some bylaws similar to this
Yep.
from other towns. So.
He said the same, that's pretty much what he had said, and
Plagiarism is the greatest form of flattery.
yes.
Research.
Yep.
Research, sorry.
Plagiarism is one. Research is usually two.
There you go.
That's
all
all.
I
Just
know.
wanted to let you know about that.
Okay. Well, we've come to setting the next meeting date. 4 weeks from now.
No idea.
I put everything on my phone just to impress you guys tonight. Now the question is, can I find it?
So today is the 28th. Looking October 26th or 19th?
19th, I have a conflict.
26th?
It's good.
26, 26. 26, I'll let Tom know, I'll let Kevin know. 26. Okay. Any other discussions? No? 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 Good?
Things are good. Norfolk Youth Basketball opened up. Registrations are open.
Okay. And on that note, we'll end this meeting. It's now 7:50, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.